Fran, would you agree that was a game was played in a much more physical style in the second half than it was the first half?
I'm sorry,
Do you think the game was played or allowed to be played much more physical in the second half than the first half?
Yeah.
Fran, to start the second half, you had 4 straight turnovers from possessions 2 through 5, and Michigan State scored, capitalized on all 5 of them or 4 of them. What was your team mentally in tune to the game at that point?
Yep.
Coach, obviously there's a big emphasis on calling hand checking this year.
Apparently not.
Okay. But they also said they were going to cut down on the off-ball fouls. Is it a difference when, a game's called differently from one half to another, let alone from game to game?
Yeah, I think you make a great point. It's hard to play it.
Coach, the 3-point shooting that they were getting tonight, was that just a matter of them making the open shots that were there, or was it issues with the defense that you saw?
A little bit of both. You got to give them credit. They were making them. They were shooting them in rhythm. Some of them were tough, but some of them, were wide open. So that's our fault.
Fran, is there a common element on defense right now where you've given up quite a few points and the percentage is really high as well?
I don't think so. I really don't.
As a coach, how do you go about trying to see if they're going to call the game the way I'm not trying to get in trouble. See if they're going to call the game the way they say they're going to call.
I don't know. Rick, your answer to that question is as good as mine. I give up. I surrender. Apparently I'm the bad guy all the time.
Sorry. Fran, speaking of Michigan State, you've been watching them on film obviously the last couple of days. Can you compare what Michigan State looked like tonight compared to maybe what they looked like the last week and a half? Do you see them
Well, they made threes. And again, like I said, it's partly our fault, but you got to give them credit. They haven't been making threes in their losses. You look at their box scores. When they make threes, they win. When they miss threes, they lose. I don't think it's anything scientific. Because they run good stuff. They're going to get open threes. They're going to get open. They're going to get the ball to people where they can do some damage on it. But if they're not making threes, which Appling wasn't, right? Harris was off a couple of times. Sometimes he's on fire. Well, now you can just pack the defense in and dare them to shoot. That's the same thing that happened at Ohio State earlier in the year. Everybody was packing it in. They couldn't make a jumper. And Smith started getting hot. Thompson started getting hot. Kraft hit a few, and they started winning again. I really think when you look at this team, you wouldn't think they'd have trouble shooting threes with all of the 3-point shooters they have. But then again, of course, they had some injuries. Payne's a good 3-point. He was out. Appling hurt his wrist. Kaminsky, Valentine, Trice. They got plenty of guys that can make it. But some nights, you start slow. The other team gets ahead. I think one of the things that helped them tonight was they were hitting early. So even though we were scoring, we played really well at first, only up 2.
Fran, at the end there, you had Zach had to leave the bench. Just what do you say to him as far as allowing him to keep his cool and to allow that?
I just think in that situation, there's no reason to bring him.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes no sense. Just go to the locker room. It was over, no big deal. But now all of a sudden, spark can become a forest fire. We don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody was settled down. I don't think it would have been any issue. But why risk it?
You've only got 35 hours or whatever to prepare for Illinois. How do you get them mentally back on?
They'll be fine mentally. We'll be all right. We've done this all year. That's what this league is. Sometimes you have longer preps. Sometimes things fall out of the ceiling. Just deal with it.
Okay, thanks.